Netherlands man is back with Netherlands weather. I'm going towards my father because I need to pick up some things for Sophie and before her operation. And I want to talk about the fact that whenever you discard things from your house, old things that you just see the uselessness of them, even though they have potential, like old paintings that you've made a long time ago, or old things and tools and other things that might be useful, but you see how much clutter and how much they take up space and they influence your mood. Whenever you do that, everyone thinks that, oh, that's just cleaning. After a brief absence from your house of a few months, you come back and you clean your whole house and you throw away all of the things that you've accumulated over the years. But it's not because you just clean it just because it's dirty or it's cluttered. It's also because you've changed. There has been an identity change in yourself that 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months to a year away from home, when you come back to your own environment, you are a different person. And that different person says, I don't want this. I want to get rid of the past that defined me, because that's how real change happens. You one day decide, well, after a few events, one day you decide to discard the past, to say the past doesn't define me anymore. And then you start to do the cleaning, but you're not only doing the cleaning is just like placeholder for what's really going on. It's reorganizing your ideas, reorganizing your mind and your life. It's more than just cleaning. It's more than just, it's taking priority of your ideas and organizing them in such a fashion that you will, and your beliefs, I think your beliefs are more important than your ideas, and you change them and you discard those who have potential but never paid dividends, never paid anything, never made you feel and get anything from them. And it's the same with the house. I've discarded everything that has potential but has never panned out. It's like, yeah, once, not even once in a blue moon. And you have to get rid of those things. Oh no, I got Sophie's leash with me. She's back home, but I forgot it with me. I can throw it away. I have another one, but probably not gonna do that just because I'm stingy. And this is actually useful. So that's the best part. I'm going to my father's place and it's raining and I'm completely freezing. My hands are freezing and I forgot my gloves. The point that I was trying to make is that changes in yourself always reflect your environment, but you can do the opposite as well. You can change your environment to change the way you feel. You can just move to another country, move to another apartment just for a few days, move to your parents, I don't know, do something to just move in with someone else, change that environment, and then come back and see how many changes you've done. See how much more of a different person you are. And you're gonna notice those changes are so nice. Like most of the times, you change for the better. I've never changed for the worse when it comes to moving away thing. The first time I did it was when I was 17. I moved in with my girlfriend, my high school sweetheart. And yeah, that was the first time I changed for the better. I quit bad habits and I learned new skills. I learned how to survive, let's say, to make it on my own. I think that's my signal to go on the bus. It seems like my mind just pushes me towards hiring someone. And yeah, I have a track record of really going super deep when I have an employee or two or even three. I just become this production machine, not only because I get a lot of help from the other people working for me, but I also get so much more like responsible, and I have to do stuff in order for them to have work to do, and I involve myself, and it's an investment, and it does come with the responsibility of actually doing the work myself. And so they have a lot of work as well, and it's a good business practice to have people working for you, because where you have a lot of people just pushing towards a goal, it's easier to reach that goal, even though most people who you hire are not as committed to the goal as you are. Sometimes just because they have the obligation of working, they're gonna work and do that thing much faster and better than you sometimes, just because they're gonna be obligated to do it because of the payment. It's not whenever you are dealing with the same task, you have the option, because you're also the boss and the employee. So you're like, I don't feel like doing it today. As where an employee cannot say that without like an underlying um, implication of just, or a negotiation there. Okay, you don't want to do this, but you should do something else because you're on the clock. So yeah, so basically it does help quite a bit with motivation. For myself, I truly work so much harder for someone else than I work for myself. Well, you always work for yourself, but whenever I'm employed, I just give so much more of myself, and it's so much easier for me to work so many more hours than just when I work for myself, just because it's harder to motivate yourself when you don't really have that um, what's it called that fear of, you know, repercussions, and yeah, of bad things happening, like getting fired, or people telling you like, you haven't been working too hard, eh? So yeah, it's just easier to be lazy when you're working for yourself. I don't know about other people, but it is definitely true for myself. I can work a lot of hours for myself, but not compared to the work that I can do for others, is maybe 70 to 50%. Like, if I can work for someone else for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, then for myself, I can work maybe 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, but usually it's less. So, yeah, depends on the work that I do. If I were to do this work, probably I would be able to do much more, but I don't know. Maybe I would get bored, or I would get dissatisfied with the work that I do much faster than I would with other. And also, when working for someone else, I don't view any task as beneath me, as where when I work for myself, I always have this thought in my mind, I could be hiring someone else to do this because I can do so much better work, because I have the choice to do better work. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting how that goes. So that's why it's harder to work for yourself than it is to work for someone else. And a trick that I found to really um, sidestep that problem is to hire someone, because when you hire someone, you truly have this responsibility, especially with the business that I have, where a lot of their work is based upon upon my creative work. Then of course I have to perform. And even a few months ago, if you go look back on my videos, when I started collaborating with my editor, I started to be super, super creative and productive, even though I didn't give like the best, I didn't make the best courses of my life, but I did make the most amount of courses in a block of time. I was making almost 2 courses every day at a point. I think I did that for a few days. But then I was averaging about a course a day, which is amazing and better than expected. And of course, that period was absolutely amazing, and I'm still getting the benefits from that work period, even though I and from the work periods where other people have worked for me. And I think that that's a great system to have. Like usually there are 2 levels of employment. Well, 2 levels of, yeah, yeah, no. But yeah, there are 2 levels of employment. You get employment where you work and you get a salary, and then there is another level where you get stock options, which is equity in the business. So if the business does well, you get your stocks end up paying you in the future. If you don't end up selling them, you get to, even after you stop working for that company, you still get benefits from the success of that company, so that you've contributed towards. And I view whenever I hire someone in the same way, but not for them. I view it for myself, even though, well, that's capitalism. So yeah, everyone is there to make profit for themselves, the employer and the employee. And the point that I was trying to make is that if you find a way to have someone work for you and you get the benefit of that work for an extended period of time, even after they have stopped working for you, then that's an amazing system. You just have this asset after the person has stopped working for you. And that's exactly what happened to me. I realized this after the first time I hired 3 people to work for me, because one of the persons was working on a side of the business which was making the most amount of money. But if that side of the business would stop, I would and the employee wouldn't work, I would have to do that work in order to get money. So that employee was really, I had to have it. I have to have that person. And the other 2 persons were towards building the business and really expanding into other areas of the business. I did end up losing quite a bit of money in that first venture where I hired 3 people, just because I didn't know what I was doing that much. It was my first business venture, and I learned quite a bit over there. I learned that you have to, if I would have went back in time, well, I don't think I would have changed anything, but in hindsight, I would have probably hired just one person that was doing the work that was giving me money, and here and there I would sprinkle towards them some work that was growing the business. That would have been so much more efficient than to hire 3 people at once. But yeah, I was on a hiring spree, and it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. And yeah, same thing happened. I just became super creative. I worked quite a bit, and I delegated and I managed, and I was like super efficient. But I lost quite a bit of money just because I didn't have the right business model. And what I'm trying to emphasize here is that after that point, I realized that I have to benefit from the work that other people do for me. I have to benefit in the future as well. From the next round of hiring, I hired 2 people to work for me, and I still benefit to this day out of that work that they did for me. It wasn't like solitary work. It wasn't like exploitative, because everything that they did was dependent on my work. So dependent directly on my work. They were editing the material that I was selling. So, but I was making it. So basically, yeah, they were helping me, but I still benefit off of that work that I did and they did.
But that's the point. Like, that way you can even pay a premium to an employee because you know that the moment that they leave or you fire them, in my case, both of them happened. The first person left for a better opportunity, and the second person I fired because of quality control. I realized that the quality wasn't up to my expectations after I was thinking that in the first period they're going to do a little bit of work that's not up to par, but after a few months they're going to get to the standard that I want them to be at. And they didn't. So I was like, okay, maybe it's time to, you know, go apart. Of course, I had to be a bit more diplomatic about how I worded my um, severance. And after that point, I hired another person, and now I didn't hire, I collaborated with another person based on a project with my editor. And I think that the best one of the best ways was to collaborate with someone. But if you want to start a business, which I'm trying to start now, a second business, the best thing is to have someone not collaborating with them, but hiring them. Just because you want them to, you yourself don't know how to do everything. So you have to learn alongside them how to do those things. And you hire them just to hold yourself accountable that you're going to do that thing. So that's the point. Like, it's an accountability. I think it's one of the most interesting accountability system for a business. For someone who starts a business is to hire someone, and it's one of the cheapest because if you think about it, like really starting a business, hiring someone is one of the, in the beginning, month to month, a reoccurring payment is not that expensive as compared to, I don't know, something like renting an office or renting a commercial space or yeah, equipment and all these kinds of things. They go upfront with a lot of payment. Whereas an employee, a part-time employee or a full-time employee can be quite cheap depending on what you need. But usually at the start of a business, I would recommend someone have sort of like an assistant that needs to do something that it's there. The person is there to help you do some parts of the business, and then you can work on the business, not in the business, because those things you still have to work in the business because it's just two people, but you get the benefit of two people. That's the point. And if you really know how to, I don't recommend people do this because I did this in the beginning, but if you truly have a system that works already and you can just plug in another person, that's amazing. And you can get more output that way. That's absolutely wonderful. And yeah, that's exactly the situation that I find myself in. I have something that works and I plug in someone, and also I can give them the other work that I want to be done. So that's a nice way to really get a boost in productivity because two people are always more productive than one. Of course, there are exceptions, but generally, that's the way it is. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow.